So from here, what I want to do for the rest of the time is work on 3 defenses that Kanazawa Sensei uses for just Kizami Zuki. The idea of being here, having that expansion, and by the way, by developing this expansive feeling, you no longer become sort of stuck by this idea of here. Here's Kizami Zuki, you know what I mean? You become free. Here, oh, there's my expansion. You know what I mean? I can almost cover. If I'm here, I can almost cover from the one step all the way across the room. You see what I mean? You get that ability to get that springiness in your legs and the development of the technique with your body center behind it. That's important, yeah? Now, what I want you to do from here is let's work on just Kizami Zuki. Kizami, again, is one of those difficult techniques where it's very hard to judge the length. It's not, if somebody's got their back leg stuck like an anchor, right, then it's got a very defined length. But if they can make the expansion and contract their body in, they can immediately go again. You know what I mean? It becomes a very variable length technique. Like Maigiri. Maigiri's, you never would block a Maigiri straight on because it's got no end point, right? It's got no sort of stopping point. It can continue on right through you. So Kizami Zuki is kind of the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of techniques. And if you notice, all of them have the idea of either unbalancing or getting out of the way. Okay, either sliding and guiding past or guiding in. So from here, just make come out. The first one, what's going to happen is you're simply going to drive your front leg out on a 30 degree angle, our left leg. So we'll just do the footwork first. It's just going to be here, then here. Okay? So it's going to be this action of just 1, 2. 1, 2. On the opposite side to you. 1, 2. So this feeling, boom, boom. Are you ready? Ich. Knee. Good. Now make sure that your step is not to the side, but in this forward action, this forward direction. Boom. Ah. Right, so you're literally zigzagging in. Ready? Ich. Knee. Some. Good. Now let's add the action to this. So this one, because I'm moving forward, it's a sen no sen strategy. As soon as you freaking think they're going to throw the Kizami Zuki, you're just going to hit them straight off the bat. You're going to close the distance and whack them. And what you're going to whack them with is because you're coming in on an angle, like so, you're going to use an angular technique. So as you step, it's just a raken, then Gyakuzuki straight in. Right, so it's this feeling. So it's going to be here. If I do it on the same angle, we break it down into 2 counts. It'll be here, shift, raken, then use the body to Gyakuzuki. Right? So it's going to be here. 1, 2. Good. Now notice how the footwork is really similar to what we were just doing. Notice that it's using this idea of a shift and the back foot's in. You see what I mean? And that provides me the torque to now be able to drive the next technique in. Right? Getting both feet underneath you like a spring is really important in Kumite, having them both bent. You never want to be in a position, you see beginners fighting like this with one leg out. Everything's done. You have no potential energy except really in the front leg. You want it in both. And if I'm in Shoreman, I definitely want both legs underneath me so I can then expand in. Expand and drive into the technique that I want. So allow from here this idea of the raken. Don't bring it up and out. Don't make it all, you know, I am doing raken, uchi. Not this. Just from here, throw your elbow to the technique. Throw it to where they are. Throw it up and make the technique. Does that make sense? You don't need to pull it back and throw it. It's already there. Just throw like you would a punch. Then, just from here, this hip is already torqued up. The hand's already on the hip. Allow it to simply come round with the rest of the body. So it ends up, when you smooth it out, it becomes this beautiful smooth action of just here, done. You see what I mean? So my body has cleared the Kizami that's coming in. I've hit him over the top, right? So the Kizami's coming off, in this case, off this left arm, right? It's their open side. I've cleared my body out of the way. This arm's covering the Kizami anyway. This is hitting with the Arakan, and then you just drive it straight underneath before they can react, while they're still focused on throwing that Kizami Zuki. Does that make sense? And don't forget, it can't be after. It's not, they haven't thrown the technique and then you're reacting and blocking with this. It's got to be before. While they're in this phase is when you want to hit them ideally. So it's this idea of being here, done. Does that make sense? That's the feeling you want. Make sure that you don't lead with your body. Right? Make sure it's all just legs and hips as you go. Ready? Ish. Good. Knee. Good. Sun. Good. Shi. Good. Go. Good. Oh. Good. Cheech. Good. Harach. Cheer. Cheer. Good, and relax. Right, so that one's an easy one, right? And again, don't forget, this is even probably more sen or sen, right? So if you think about, there's a pie meme going around on Facebook, right? Sen or sen is when the guy's standing here thinking about throwing the pie, right? And the other guy just goes splat and throws it at him. So that person's standing here, I'm going to throw Kizami Zuki, and as soon as you feel them throw, you throw it immediately. Does that make sense? You go and you break their cadence before they ever throw the technique. That's sen or sen. Sen or sen is the idea of both people throwing their pies simultaneously. Right? So what will happen, they're throwing, you come in at the same time, bang, bang, right? This one is a little bit more, you want to catch them just before they throw it. You want that little edge of timing. Sen or sen is really good for another one we're going to do today. And then gon or sen is they throw the pie, you duck, and then you throw yours. Right? So if sen or sen, you throw the pie while they're still thinking about it. Sen or sen, you throw the pies at the same time. And then gon or sen, they throw it, you duck or get out of the way, and then you throw a pie. Does that make sense? Those are the three basic strategies. And they're not, don't think of them as sen or sen, gon or sen. You can think of things as sen or sen, set or sen, non sen. You know what I mean? There's all manners of the spectrum, right, as you go. This one will be more sit, sen or sen. You know what I mean? A little bit earlier. Okay, let's do the second one. The second one is gon or sen. So for this one, what you're going to do is you're going to absorb the technique. And what you can do, there's multiple blocks you can do, but the footwork's the key. As they come in, you're just going to make ashi barai. You're just going to turn here. So it's going to be not foot, but it's going to be whole body, just squeezing up. And what you'll notice is your arm will naturally move with your body. Does that make sense? And I'll give you some help with that. Don't move it, just let your hips naturally move the angle of your technique. So from here, it's going to be inch, and then on the fall, making urazuki, tate, or choku, depending on how far away they are. Does that make sense? So this one here is just this idea. In they come, boom, boom. In comes the punch, boom. In comes the punch, whoa, and hit. Does that make sense? That's sweep. What you're after here, the timing you're after, is you're not aiming to hit their ankle on the side. So if I get my handy dandy stick here, as the foot is coming down, not once their foot's landed. If their foot's landed, you're done. Timing's off. You're not going to move it. It's got to be just as it's coming down, just as it's coming in, just as the punch is coming. This is the timing. The technique does not hit their foot from the side, not this. The foot ideally will come behind and sweep it in the direction it's going. Does that make sense? So the feeling here is not to push it this way, but rather curve and pull it in the direction that it's going, so they go straight past you. So the feeling here is not this, but this. Look familiar? Right? So the idea is here, right here, sweep, in. This feeling. You're practicing tiki shodan, right? And the action of tiki shodan is the same. Pull. Pull with the hip. Pull with the hip. Pull with the hip, then hit. This feeling. And hence you can see this is pure go-no-sen. Ready? Your turn. Let's try. Again, don't worry about the hands. I'm going to give you some things to do with the hands in a second. Okay? Just think. Foot timing, hip, then feel the body. Foot, body. Foot, body. This feeling. Ready? Ich. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Good. So the idea here is that the opponent would come in, they would be throwing their technique, it's about to make kime, and then what you do is you break their mental and physical balance, they stretch out. That's the idea, that's the goal here, you see. And what that does is that takes the sting out of their punch. The second you break someone's balance, the second that they think they're going to fall, what will have to happen is the autonomic nervous system will kick right in and they'll go into fall reflex. The punch that they're throwing out, completely gone out of their brain. There'll be nothing left in it. Does that make sense? All they're worried about is getting their foot back on the floor. So this is a way to break not only their physical balance, it doesn't matter whether or not they go down on a foot sweep. What matters is that split second of unbalancing, which breaks their mental balance, and immediately you have control. Does that make sense? Now, for this hand, there's two things you can do. Either leave it right here and let it just make almost a nagashike to guide it past. The alternative thing you can do is push this arm forward and almost into the shoulder. So as they come, have this feeling of sort of, here, then drive. Here, and drive. What that does is that push into the shoulder, as they're being stretched this way, their shoulder will be pushed back. And it doesn't matter if you hit them in the shoulder, the bicep, right? Any target along the arm is fine. But you want to hit it kind of deep. The bicep is good, the shoulder is good, but it will stop their technique dead. So it's this feeling of, here it comes, and hit. Here, there, and hit. This feeling. Or just guide it with them. Guide it with them. That's also okay. It's whatever floats your boat. So, let's try 5 more. Ready? Hey, hitch. Knee. Sun. Sheep. Go. Good. Now the last thing to do is make sure you get to safety. So from here, you're going to have sweep, hit, then roll. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? Sweep, hit, roll. Sweep, hit, roll. Sweep, hit, roll. Good. Again. Sheep. Go. One more. Hook. Good. Excellent. So the idea here, and this is hard, because you've got to wait for them to come all the way in. Right? You're waiting on them to go, now, there. Now, there, that's when you initiate this. So this one, you've got to wait, you've got to wait, you've got to wait until I come in, really get them to make that Kizami Zuki, make them to commit fully. So as they come in, feel the technique, feel it, feel it, feel it. Foot comes, boom, bada, boom, then get out. Having that feeling, having that flavor, having that bounce. Does that make sense? Again, this is something that you need to practice with a human to develop that timing of sweep to hit. Does that make sense? There'll be a lot of times you'll be standing here and you go, oh, and it's against something solid because they've already planted their leg. You've got to hit that spot between where you can reach and where you can sweep them. Ways around that is don't be standing in zenkuts. I can't do it. Stand here with your back leg in. Now I've got more reach with my leg. You know what I mean? I've got more balance underneath me. Things like that that you can play with to aid you in developing the distance that you need for this particular technique. Let's do the third one. Third one's easy. All you're going to do, those who know the kata sorchin, is sorchin. Boom, boom. This feeling. Technique comes in. All you're going to do is guide it past you, hitting them square under the chin. So it's just guide here and then step out. So this one is sen no sen. This is stepping straight in, person comes in, duck underneath, hit, then get out. Here, duck, guide it. You can use an open hand, you can use a closed hand. This hand just drives straight in with the hip. So it's just simply opening the hip up, almost making Kizami Zuki of your own, but you can make an uppercut or a raken, your choice. And then from here, expand out. It's that easy. So let's try. Ready? Ich. Knee. Good. And again, be careful. Make sure that it's your body driving in with your body here. Don't sort of, make sure you don't just sort of make it weak. You've got to fully commit to this drive of the leg the same way that they're driving in. Using the stance sorchin, right, just driving in like so. Then use that to get out. Use that pivot, right? So with that coming in, bang, boom. You're just here, standing straight and waiting, guiding, here. Then get out. Ready? Ich. Knee. Good. Make sure, good cover. Good cover. Make sure the path of this hand goes by the side of your face and pulls, right? It's aided somewhat by the stance. Notice I'm driving, as I drive my hip in, my stance is coming slightly to the side. But you want that feeling of body action. One, side, body, side, body, side, body. This hip just simply drives. In a way, you're doing Heian, right? But just sanchin, sorchin. Here, in, and go. Ready? Ich. And you don't need a lot of sort of this. It's just use this, just keep this connected. Boom! And step. Ready? Ich. Knee. Sun. Good. Not this way, this way. Keep your elbows close. Boom. Here. Not out here. If you go all the way out here, that's going to take too long. You're going to get killed. Think, just guide it past your ear. Guide it past. Guide it past. Guide it past. Then get out. That's the feeling, yeah? Keep it tight. Ich. Feel this hip, this hand. Ready? Ich. Slow it down. One. Then step. Knee. Nope, slow it down. Connect the hip. I'm seeing a lot of you just going here and just going, and then stepping. A lot of you are just watch my body. A lot of you are just doing this. Don't. Here, connect into the stance. Use the rear leg to push. Push and open and then get out. You see what I mean? Use the stance. Use Sorchin. Use the stance. Right? And don't have the feeling of stepping to the side. You're not. You're stepping straight in. Step in. Your body will naturally move as your weight goes onto the front leg. It'll move you about 6 inches to the side all by itself. Watch. I'm centered. Look at that. Now I'm centered over that line. Centered. Centered now over the line. My body naturally moves on the angle. I don't need to force it. It does it for me. So don't think of this. You're going to be off target. Drive this straight up the middle. Straight up the middle. Straight up the middle and go. Ready? Each. That's better. That's better. Right? So use the stance. Incorporate the stance. Because that's the piece that's really key to this. It's not what your hands are doing. Your hands are just keeping everything away. But your stance is what gives you your movement, your gravitas to the technique. Right? Knee. Feel that. Boop, boop, boop. She. Go. Good. One more. Oh. Good. Excellent. So what we have is we have 3. Sen, sen, no sen. The idea, shift body. Shift body. Right? Nice, relax. 1, 2. We have number 2. Right? Which is the idea of being here. What was number 2? Number 2 was, was here, the sweep. In, then, in and out. This feeling, this idea of just sweep, expand, drive, and out. We have number 3, which was Gono-sen. We have number 3, which is Sen-no-sen. Just here, technique comes in, guide. Feel it drive, then get out. This feeling. Direct application of the kata sorchin. Right, so we have 3. So what we're going to do for 2 minutes, I'm going to attack you with Kizami Zuki. You defend yourself. Make kamae. Any of those 3. I'm going to give you time between each one. Decide which one you want to use, and then defend yourself. Good? Okay, ready? Think about also, if you can, the timing. Sen no sen, go no sen, sen sen no sen. Right? Ready? And it's hard to do through a video, I know. Think about what you're doing. Not round, tuck, in. Not round, in, straight in. Come on. Two more. Last one. Good. Hey, yummy. Good, and relax. Backwards. Good. Rotating your upper body, just round. Good, Zenko 2. Other side. Good, heel. Switch. Good, hips. Other way. Excellent. Any questions? Easy? So, you know, when you look at Kizami Zuki quite often, you see it just as a standard practice. If here, I'm driving in. So many people, including, you know, many people have gone charging and done this kind of act and worn the Kizami Zuki. Right? If you notice, every single one of these use either the idea of getting out of the way to shift in, using the idea even through the Sanshindachi, the weighting of the stance to get you cleared out of the way, right? Having that double insurance. Even the third one has the idea of rocking back and then driving in. You know what I mean? They all give you that little bit of extra time or that little bit of extra motion in a direct and clear way, rather than just this kind of stuff, right? This is why blocking with your nose becomes so common. It's about having your legs, arms, body built in a way that allow you to drive, move, you know, making use of those weight distributions in the stances, making use of the angle and the extra range that you get to go out and then come back in, making use of the ability to absorb, right, and then drive in. And you can see how those strategies are directly linked to your timing. Sen, sen no sen. Go no sen. Right? And sen no sen. Right? As you use those within the technique, within the way you defend yourself. Really clever. Again, Kanazawa was a pretty smart guy. Hey, Sudachi. Hey, was good class, everybody. Thank you.